Today marks the 81st anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Flags all across America flew at half-staff in honor of the 2,403 service members and civilians whose lives were cut short. A remembrance ceremony was held at the National Pearl Harbor Memorial in Hawaii today, and a handful of survivors, now around 100 years old or even older, were in attendance. They were there to commemorate those who died on December 7, 1941. There was a moment of silence at 7:55 a.m., the minute the attack began. The base was attacked by fighter planes, bombers, and torpedo planes in two waves. The planes took off from 6 aircraft carriers. Here's how they snuck up on the island of Oahu. The first wave of 353 planes came in from the north. It was actually detected by a radar system, but the lieutenant in charge thought that this was just the arrival of 6 U.S. bombers that were due from California that day. The fighters came in over the mountains. They just appeared out of nowhere. They flew low, and they strafed Kaneohe, shattering the peaceful morning in that small town. Other dive bombers attacked the air bases. They hit Hickam Field, that's the largest air base, and Wheeler Field, a main Army fighter base. Some of the bombers flew to the south, and they came up into Pearl Harbor to take out the warships and the Navy fleet. A second wave of 171 planes came in from the east, and they headed to Ford Island and then into Pearl Harbor. 90 minutes after it began, the attack was over, but the United States' involvement in the Second World War had just begun. Today's somber anniversary gives us a chance to head into the KGW Vault and look back at some of our footage from the past decades. We start with a segment by longtime KGW reporter John Tuttle from December 7th, 1983. It was the 42nd anniversary of the attack.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
We are 42 years from the Pearl Harbor attack, but this morning in a pancake house in northeast Portland, these men remembered.
John Pfeiffer, USS Tennessee, my wife Evelyn.
They are Pearl Harbor survivors, soldiers, sailors, and Marines. Young men 42 years ago, and every one of them stationed at Pearl Harbor on December 7th when the Japanese attacked. Men who watched a war begin, who fought in its first minutes, and each of them has a story to tell.
We all thought it was just another drill until we got topside and see what was happening, and we were in action within seconds.
Well, I was on the USS West Virginia, tied out board of the Tennessee, right ahead of the Arizona. We took 7 torpedoes, 3 bomb hits. We were sunk right there.
He was saying, "Get under cover, they're bombing us." And then I looked over and I saw the Utah turning over, guys hanging on the bottom of it.
Then they passed the word to abandon ship because it started capsizing or rolling over. And then I walked the ship around as I rolled over.
We were in dry dock. The Pennsylvania was in dry dock. And we only had, 39 or 40 casualties. We were hit by 1 bomb.
This annual breakfast of survivors and their wives is a social event. If they hadn't told their stories for reporters, there would have been little mention of the war, except in the prayer for its victims. But these people do remember, and for some, the passions of a war 2 generations past are still with them. And we must not forget, these people watched their friends die at Pearl Harbor, and they always remember. John Tuttle, News 8.
As we said at the beginning of the coverage on today's anniversary, only a handful of service members actually attended the ceremony today in Hawaii. That's due to the simple fact that there really aren't that many survivors left. The youngest active duty military personnel in December of 1941 would have been about 17 years old, making them 98 today. And many who are still with us are at least 100. One of the 6 survivors who attended the ceremony in Hawaii is 102-year-old. His name is Ira Ike Schaub, and he's on the right there. He lives in Portland. He's now attended the remembrance ceremony 4 times. He says he returns each year out of respect for his friends who did not make it. It's especially important to hear the stories from those who survived so we don't forget the sacrifice of so many Americans like Ike's friends. Thanks to all who serve then and now. We do appreciate you.